Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby, and who better to talk about all the big stuff that's happening on the West Coast, especially this big trial, the social media trial, than Lynn Shaw of Lynn's Warriors. Lynn, it's so great to talk to you, my friend. Fill us in on all this, because this is a biggie.
Rita, John, this is a groundbreaking case. This is a landmark trial. We are in week 3. We know many of the parents that are in the courtroom there. Their children have been harmed from social media platforms. But today, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Instagram and Facebook, otherwise known as Meta, M-E-T-A for everybody. He changed the name a couple of years ago to confuse everybody. I am here to say that Mark Zuckerberg is a bold-faced liar. A liar. I've never seen or heard a liar like this before. We know we have so many studies now in the last few years. We have the children. We have the doctors that this social media is indeed an addiction. Now, what I don't understand is the trial. We have to go back and look at the history of this. This is now a 20-year-old young woman. She was 15 at the time, right? And she brought this lawsuit now claiming social media harms, giving her anxiety, depression, eating disorders. And in the state of California, very tough laws for product liability. Now, let's go back. We have internal memos. We have the whistleblowers who worked at Meta come forward, lawyers who worked at Meta come forward to say they knew of the harms. They did nothing about it. They were always shushed. They were told, we'll take care of it. It's going to go up the chain. Nothing ever happened. Or they were dismissed, from their jobs. Or they left because they're ethical people and they knew of these harms to kids and could no longer work there. But the internal memos themselves discussing they want the eyeballs. They don't care about the addictions, referring to kids, as like little pigs. It's all there. So Mark Zuckerberg marches into court today, and he basically says, we don't allow kids under 13 on Instagram. Now, Instagram is one of the top 3 sites that kids go on, which is Snap and is also TikTok and Instagram. But here's the thing. They may say that all they want, Rita and John, but there's nobody looking at anything. So any kid can sign on. They may say, no, we don't want 13, but anybody under 13. But the kids, we guarantee, are all there.
Lynn Shaw, we may have 1 million people listening, and you've got to explain it simply. What is the accusation? The way I understand the accusation is that they're putting certain applications on those Instagrams or whatever that addict kids. How are they addicting kids?
Social media addiction. That is what is being claimed.
Yeah, but is there something? The insinuation is they're doing something particular that addicts them.
Okay, addiction. We know kids ages 9 to 17 spend anywhere up to 8-9 hours a day on social media platforms. 8-9 hours a day. I don't know how they have time to do anything else. Now, social media addiction, what does that really mean? We know from the internal memos, from the whistleblowers, we know that Facebook, Instagram, they were feeding the kids through algorithms, constant content they weren't even looking for, right? So that caused the kids to keep looking and looking because they want the eyeballs. Eyeballs equal advertising dollars, keeping that person, that child on the internet, on their platforms. So The child is constantly scrolling. Infinite scrolling is in the lawsuit.
So the content then is the nicotine.
Absolutely.
It's a good analogy.
Similar to nicotine or cigarettes.
Think of a drug. Same addictions like a drug.
And there's the same accusation that me and you talked about the food products, where the tobacco companies ended up buying food products, and they took their engineers and put them on the food products division to how to addict kids more to food.
Absolutely. It's like all the same thing. But I want to point out that Mark Zuckerberg, a little over 2 years ago, was called to testify in front of Congress, all the heads of all. We're talking about Meta right now, but I'm here to say all of these social media CEOs, should all be on trial. It's not just Meta. It's all of them. But he stood in front of Congress 2 years ago, and he was asked to turn around and face parents.
I remember that.
And it was the most heartbreaking thing for these parents, the most watered down, because he's on record, Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan, they do not allow their own children. Can you imagine they go out and say this? They don't allow their own children on any social media platforms. They limit their screen time. They have next to no
Lynn,
screen time. They're on record talking about
We're going to
that.
follow up with you. Thank you for the update, but we got to take a hard break, and we'll talk to you maybe the next day or so.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Lynn.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.